Okay, if there's one thing that I have learned in my 8 years of running my lawn care business solo, in a market as saturated as mowing lawns, it's very, very important that you figure out how you yourself are going to stand out. And one way to do that is to invest the time and resources to teach yourself a new skill that most people would rather apprehend from. I gotta say, I haven't walked down here in quite a bit. Look at that bad looking Z71. I like it. Look at these guys. Speaking of guys, these are the guys. How you doing, buddy?
Fantastic.
This is Dan, by the way. He's the owner's son. So, Dan, go ahead and tell us what we got here.
This is the
You see, over the last year and a half, I have actually been studying really hard to obtain my spray license to offer fertility services in my business, which I have been doing. And my friends, I gotta tell you, there's nothing more satisfying than being the guy that not only mows the property, but can also make it look really good. You know what I'm saying? There's like that special feeling of euphoria that you get as a service provider when you have a lawn that you're mowing, but knowing at the same time, if it's a good looking lawn and you also happen to fertilize it, you're the one who's contributing to that goodness. There's something really, really satisfying about that. Something really, really satisfying about that. And it's actually video I do intend to make at some point in the future, talking about the process I went through to get that and how some of you guys should also consider doing that as well. Now, with that being said, any of you guys who do want to go down the lawn fertility rabbit hole, one of my favorite ways to break into that market, especially if you're dealing with cool season lawns, whether it's in Northwest Indiana or further down south in the Carolinas, the Virginias, all those places, is core aeration. This video is brought to you guys by the folks at Horizon 360. For those of you guys who don't know, that is actually a derivative of the Toro company. This is a new CRM they came out with a couple of years ago. I've had the privilege of beta testing it and still do to this day. And my friends, the features and things that they're continuing to come out with are really, really amazing. This software allows you to do everything from customer acquisition to customer retention. You can measure your properties on the spot when you get the client address. You can also figure out what your labor expenses are going to be. You can install complimentary trackers on your truck and equipment, which will help you track and see how your employees are doing, if you have a bottom line that's working, or if you're working solo and you want to get an idea for how much time you spend working and not working. This is going to give you all of that data that you need to make smart decisions to pivot in your business. Now, one feature that they added that I really, really liked was credit card on file. It's super easy and super quick to sign up for. It's a nice portal you can send to your customers to put in their credit card information so that going forward, when you're doing those weekly reoccurring services such as mowing, you now have a means of billing your customer in a little bit more of a hands-off fashion that doesn't involve you having to chase down money. You now have the ability to spend more time on your turf while Horizon will handle your business. Click the link down in the description below and use code H360JTLK to get free your first 3 months of utilizing the software. Horizon 360. Check it out. Okay, let's go ahead and address the elephant in the room, and that is the fact that a lot of people think Jake the Lawn Kid does not endorse mechanically aerating. Do I think it needs to be done all the time? No. But do I misendorse it entirely? Absolutely not. I definitely think there are times where mechanical interference is necessary. Now, with that being said, it's a great thing to do every other year just to make sure things are in check with healthy lawns. If you have a lawn renovation, kind of like you're going to see in an upcoming video here that I've done with Scott's Pro Vista, it's a great way to mechanically modify the ground a little bit to help with more success with your seeding, as again, you'll see in those upcoming videos. So all in all, guys, I don't disregard mechanical aeration entirely. I really do value what it brings to your business, right? It's a great way to break into the market and start offering it to your customers and make a little extra money, right? Especially if you're going to do it in conjunction with a liquid product, which is what I did as well. We're actually going to be talking about that in the video coming up in part 2 of this vlog, if you will, how I'm going to be complementing the seed and aeration with liquid applications that actually include the fertility aspect of my fall aeration and overseeding plans for my clients. Stay tuned to see that. So I understand a lot of people in this video haven't even gotten to that point in their lawn care business yet. As you guys can tell, I know I have a plethora of different people that watch, and I like to talk to my business friends out there because this is something that I've genuinely started to enjoy talking about lately. But I've been getting a lot of questions like, what are some ways that I can diversify in my business in such a saturated market? Well, like I said at the very beginning of this video, one way to do that is to learn a skill, take some time, learn a skill that your competition would typically apprehend from. For me, I see a lot of people going the landscaping route. That's not for me. I want to double down in turf. So the way I'm going to do that, and the way I'm going to enter that market for the fertilizer, is I'm going to offer a service like aeration. Now, you don't necessarily have to do it this way, but this is a great way to do it if you're considering it, or even if you're not considering it at all, you just want to make some extra money in the fall. Mechanical aerations are a good way to go, and the barrier to entry is very low. Now, I will say this right out the gate. If you are going to do it, you're going to do it as a business, you want to make sure that you can cover the expenses of the machine, especially if you're renting it. If you're renting it from a dealership, Home Depot, whatever, you want to make sure, this is the ideal rule of thumb that I can tell you right now, that you cover that expense within your 2 first jobs. And on top of that, what I would also recommend to you guys is looking at what you can charge to be profitable, right? Not necessarily what your competition is charging, but what makes you profitable. An ideal rule of thumb when aerating a lawn would be about $10 to $15 per 1,000 square foot. Maybe even a little more, again, depending on what you need to charge to be profitable, depending on what it costs to run your business. And then the second thing, advertising. A lot of people might get into a dilemma with that as well. Like, do I make sure I have the machine so I have it anyway, or do I advertise? Always advertise first. You want to talk to your customers first and just put some feelers out there, not necessarily committing to anything if you don't know what your rental time frame is, but just letting them know that this is something that you do want to offer them. And if they're on board with it, you could be like, cool, I'll see what I could do on my end to make it happen. And if you can rent that machine and they're okay with the price that you're charging them to cover that rental, then there you go, you got some business. Now, we're not done just yet. One thing I also recommend before you break ground with the machine, okay, is to call all of your local utilities. Have your customers do this. Now, everybody's going to say a bunch of different things about this, but in my opinion, this is not your responsibility as a business owner. We have enough to worry about with keeping our clients happy. Your customers have everything at their disposal to get this done, and that is marking utilities and sprinkler heads, whether it's by themselves or calling 811. That is something I 100% believe the customer is responsible to do, and if they want the service, they will take the time and get it done. Now, of course, you want to be helpful in this situation. You don't want to just be like you're on your own. You want to send them the resources they need to do that, depending on your state that you live in and all that. Make sure that it gets done, because if it doesn't get done, that can just present a lot of problems that I really don't have to explain. Now, don't ask me how I know that, but I do. So make sure that you have those lines marked before you break ground with the aerator. Make sure that is done beforehand. If you have contracts in your business, make sure you include that in there, because I'm telling you, it's not a pretty sight if you don't do it. So have all of that stuff marked beforehand, have the customer get that done for you. That's what I believe works. Now, a lot of people are going to be like, why don't you just do that? Well, you can if you want. Again, you can do whatever you want. It's your business. It's free enterprise. That's what's so cool about this, right? But in my opinion, I recommend having the customer get all that done for you. One thing I want to talk about while we're on the topic of trying to break into a different market, such as fertilization, or just in general, charging another service that you typically don't do on a day-to-day basis, like core aeration, it's very important that you keep track of each and every movement of that service so that billing and all that is much easier. And on top of that, it's just going to be easier for you to calculate pricing and all that in the future to make sure that you're profitable no matter what. And that's why I thought Horizon 360 was the perfect sponsor to partner up with for today's video, because that's what they specialize in, guys. They're a CRM that helps you know the ins and outs of your business. And one way they do that is with asset trackers. Now, as we've talked about in the past, with asset trackers, you can mount those to pieces of equipment that you own that have a battery on it, right? Which is really, really cool. However, when you're doing a temporary service like aeration, or maybe you're utilizing a tool that doesn't have a battery on it, what can you do to ensure that no matter what, you have an asset tracker with you, that you're tracking all of that stuff? Well, my friends, I'm gonna go ahead and show you right now. Check this out. So in Big Blue here, I mounted this asset tracker that they actually make for your vehicles. If you want, they have on their landing page different types of trackers you can get. And that brings me to this guy right here, the CalAmp asset tracker that they actually carry on their website that is meant for your vehicle. It runs right here. You can mount it wherever you want. You have this long cable, and then from there you have this plug. And what you can do is hook that up right here. Almost every vehicle has this little plug right here down below the driver's seat. You plug it in, pair it with your software, and boom, you have a tracker on your truck. What it'll do for you when you pull up to the job site, in case you forget, it'll start the job for you, and then when you're done, you manually end it, and you have the data that you need to make smart decisions in your business, right? It'll tell you how much you're working, how much you're not working, how much time you spent doing this, how much time you spent doing that, on-site, off-site. It'll tell you all the same stuff that your asset tracker on your equipment would tell you. Only difference is it's mounted to your truck. So that's where I believe the truck tracker would help out. So I recommend you check it out if it's in your price range. If it's not, I understand, but it's definitely something that you should consider, because again, it will really help out with tracking rental equipment. Let me show you real quick how to install it, how to set it up in Horizon 360. It's pretty simple. This will make sense in a few minutes, but before you install it, make sure you get a good picture of that serial number. You're gonna need it. There's our OBD port. I only know that because I Googled it just a few seconds ago. This is where I think we can suspend our tracker. Once you got that all set up, what you're gonna do now is you're gonna open up Horizon 360 like I've got right here, and you're just gonna kind of navigate yourself around, right? And what you're gonna do is you're gonna go to Devices and Cruise. This is going to allow you to pair your tracker with your Horizon 360 software. And then what you're gonna do is you're just gonna go through this setup process here, type in the serial number, add your vehicle information, and once all that's done, boom, your tracker is now paired with Horizon 360. It's that easy, folks. You're welcome. So one last thing I want to go ahead and mention to put the bow on this. After speaking with one of my greatest mentors here in the lawn care industry, that is none other than John Pajak of Turf Tamer Lawn Care, he always told me, Jake, if you're going to get into a new service, just dive in head on. Don't segue into it. That was his advice to me. Be aggressive and be persistent. And I gotta tell you, that's worked out really well with me in my situation. But for a lot of you guys out there who are beginners, I really do recommend you do offer the aeration before you offer any fertilizer programs whatsoever. Because by doing that, you're giving yourself experience, and you're also giving yourself an opportunity to make more money. And lastly, it's just a great, like, slow segue, if you will, right? Because you're learning things that are other than mowing, and you're not having to apply products to the lawn, especially if you don't have a fertilizer license yet. That's not a concern. Again, the only concern is the utilities, but it is, again, just a great segue into whatever other services you want to offer that are related to the lawn, whether it's fertilizer, weed control, fungicide programs, mosquito control, any of those things, whatever it is you're looking to do in your business. Just a great segue. I'd recommend you try it, at least for the experience.